And then we had 2 more that I already planned on, and then we'll try to get to Ishova's game, I think it was. Let's see. And this one was, I believe, Everoth's. Or was this Midnight Louie's? It will be very apparent when we get it. Because the coach name will be there. And I will know. I believe this was Everoth's. Oh, okay. Welcome. Okay. And keep in mind, this is an ogre game. There's going to be some expected, failures. So that's, fine. We're not going to be looking at the results of your actions. More, were the actions good? Were they safe? Were they among the best options you could take? Yes. What's the star? Oh, I didn't even recognize. It's Bertha. Break, tackle, dodge is basically what Bertha gets. Bertha's fun. And we got double fame. This is probably fine. Down an ogre, so we only got 5 ogres, including the star. Yeah, okay. So you're already at a little bit of a disadvantage, but you're playing a 12 versus 11, so you might be able to do some damage to these elves. But again, this is a really hard matchup for ogres. They don't really do well against elves. Elves have Agi 4. They're able to run around you and hit your Noblars. And if you base them, they just walk away from you or get a punch. So they're really annoying to play against. Yeah, 12 is not great if it's Noblars, but it could be worse. And it looks like the elves are just going to go for a quick score, which you're honestly fine with. Step 1, you're going to use your Mighty Blow. Try to get some advantage. I'd probably go after the tackle piece with 3 dice. Desperately want to make your 3 dice. And even your Noblars here could knock into your ogre. So your goal this game is to maximize your Mighty Blow hits and 3 dice. So I'm looking here. I want to blitz this blitzer, right? Whatever you do, you want to be blitzing this. After that, you can consider maybe setting up a push so this ogre gets a 3 die as well. So that would look something like Blitzer's a Nobler murderer. Get him out of here. Yeah, exactly. This is a little bit of basic. This is fine. Just don't get overzealous. Yeah, this is mostly fine. Yeah, I probably would have just gone after the tackle piece. If the elves want to score, they're going to score. It's kind of my vibe. And I would say, you really want to be... You don't have block. You only have 1 reroll. You need to make 3 dice with your blitzes. You need to bring 2 Noblars over, get 2 assists on a strength 3 piece, and get a 3 die. Because it turns the odds of a turnover from 1 in 9 to 1 in 27. It's 3 times less likely to get a turnover. Okay. Good. Take that hit. Ooh. I don't hate that. That got a sent off, but that was a good foul. That was a 7+ foul on a very important piece. You got unlucky on the send-off. No break. Didn't work. Right call. Yeah, and remember, 7 plus is a minimum. If you can make it better, make it better. But like this is the most important piece in the game for the elves. You made the right call trying to remove it. That's unlucky. That's unlucky. They took a very high risk set of dodges. They made 3 plus, 3 plus, 2 plus. Like that's unlucky. You can't do anything there. That's fine because you're trying to free this up with as little commitment as possible. Again, if we could have managed one more assist, that would have been a 3-die, probably been a knockdown without a reroll. And the ball's in a decent spot. Ball's in a decent spot. Follow is okay. 2 pluses off attack was fine. This is fine. Also remember, Nobblers do not make dodges harder. They only make sure that there are dodges. Okay, this is good. This is fine. The elves can probably, the elves can what? 2 plus into here and then hit the ball, though? Yeah, so these do not make dodges harder. So if the elves know what they're doing, they can 2 plus into here with a lot of shenanigans and just hit the ball. You did decent getting the ball down, though. That happens. It's fine. Nobbler lives don't matter. And ideally, if we ever get the chance, if this ball can get to an ogre instead, you're feeling much more safe. But that's kind of hard to accomplish against elves. Just because you don't get a lot of chances to try and pick up with an ogre or hand off to an ogre when you only have one reroll and you don't have an agi up ogre or a sure hands ogre. So this will be a bit of a rough one. Now, how are we going to deal with this? Well, we can either blitz something here and try to bring the ball up. Could try to throw the Nobbler. I don't think that's the best option. Yeah, if you can get it on the ogre, but in this situation where we only had one reroll, we are already getting a bit swarmed. I think it's kind of hard to get in a situation where we can hand off to an ogre. I think this is okay, but it's not great. That could have been the play, honestly. Just like let the elves try and score really slowly, and you just focus on damage. It's really a hard game no matter what you do, though. I don't think there's like a necessarily best play here. Like, especially like mostly rookie ogres, you're kind of just expecting to lose this game. Unless you get lucky in some way. So really, like, you shouldn't be... Don't worry about winning this game. If I were playing this game, I wouldn't be worried about winning. I'd be worried about giving my best performance and trying to level some more ogres. If you win, that's great. If you tie, that's great. If you lose, it's not a big deal as long as you got some SPP. Yeah, and you're doing fine right now. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's a good mind that's a good train of thought with ogres just in general, but especially for this game. And that's just unfortunate. Oh no, how did they find the blitz? That's impossible. And then, like, here, there's not really much in your control at the moment. The elves get to do elf things. Yeah. And the elves are just playing for SPP now, I think. Yeah, I prefer a 2 reroll for ogres. I feel that's a little more consistent. But that's like my preference, but I don't enjoy ogres. If you enjoy more ogres, less rerolls, do more ogres, less rerolls. There's no real best way. Because no matter what you do, there's like a chance like an ogre just dies and just makes it rough anyways. Yep, more ogres is faster ogre development. More rerolls is more consistent like wins and stuff. But also slower ogre development. Yeah, and then like once you get the Apo, the ogres are safer, yada yada. Exactly what Waffle said. It's sort of like vampires. There are many different vampire starts. You can go 2 vampires, like 4 rerolls and an extra bench. You can go 3 vampires and like 3 rerolls or 4 rerolls. I've seen 4 vampires and like 4 rerolls, I think. Or you can go 4 vampires, 3 rerolls, and like an extra thrall. It's all just preference. 14 thralls in a dream. That's not a dream, that's a nightmare. Again, 3-die blocks. 3-die blocks. Like, your 3-die blocks turn your knockdowns from like 50-50 to like a 70%. So, Everoth, do you know how you get 3-die blocks? Do you know how the math works? Would you like a quick rundown? Double strength +1, correct. So when you have a strength 5 piece versus a strength 3, you need to get a strength 7, you need 2 assists. Boom, 3 dies. And that saves you your reroll. That saves you, like, getting pushes. Like, you get more knockdowns, that sort of thing. Especially once you get a Block Ogre, it's really effective. But that being said, Block Ogre, instead of being a 1 in 9 failures, a 1 in 36 on 2 dice. So you aren't forced at it. Block is actually better than 3 dicing in terms of failure rate. Get in range and yeet. You want to get in range to be prepared to yeet. You don't want to yeet yet. You want to yeet on turn like 7 or 8. Hey, Eliav. We already went over your game. TLDW. Screen more. Base less. That's annoying. There you go. SPP. Game is a success. Yeah, that bonehead is tragic. We do have a break tackle ogre, so that's like having an unbased ogre. Aiming for the one with a niggle is great. It's a very heads up. Yeah, that's fine. That's completely valid. I didn't realize they were niggled. That changes my opinion. Getting hits on the niggle is just good. And did that give you a level? Not quite. Gave you a little more SPP though, which is nice. That makes more sense, the target selection. I didn't realize they were different. Disregard. Alright, so here's where my head is, like, right here, right? It's turn 7. I think we go for the score and try to get the ball as far away as possible. I would be doing something like, let me grab my little pen tool. We got an arrow? Yes, we are. Good. Let's take this 3-die hit. Boof. Punch it back. Bring the ball up. Are we in handoff range? So, blitz this. Boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hand off the ball. Run this down. And we just, like, yeet. Not up and to the right. Just like dead straight. And we just try to score. Because if you don't activate the... no. Well, yes, actually. Right there. I missed all the tackle zones. But, if you don't activate the Noblar when you throw it, you can still move him after. So it's great. So then, yeah, yeet. So that's probably what I would be doing at this point. Because if that doesn't work, you're probably going to lose the ball and the Elves are going to score anyways. That wouldn't be like the safe play with like another team, but this is Ogres. This is fine too. Trying to form a cage. Again, though, Noblars don't make this dodge hard. This is only a 2+ to get in. This is a 2+ into a 2-die sack. And I think your opponent doesn't realize that. Because Titchy, in a lot of words, just means, like, dodges are not harder. Yeah, 3-die with the marks. For sure. That's fair, but you also had a reroll, and that's kind of like the only way you get a score in this half, is if you win off last turn, I think. You can still get lucky this turn, but it's way less likely now that the Elves are all up in your business. I don't think that accomplishes much. Yeah, was that unfamiliarity with, was that unfamiliarity with how the third teammate works? That's what it felt like. Theoretically, this could have worked if you threw from back here. But yeah, that after the last turn, I think your opportunity was a little gone. Yeah, we're just trying to point out that if you move after the throw, because you don't know where you're going to land. I'm not sure if you are aware of that or if it's just been awkward positioning. No, you were okay. So let's go back here. Let's go back here. So right here, you can still make it here. So how third teammate works, we bring an Ogre here, right? Because this is where we'll be on the next turn. Just trust me, this was the square you were gonna throw it from. And then we aim for a short pass, which is 6 tiles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right here on this 8 line, this is where we were aiming. But then we have a scatter of up to 3 tiles. So then we have a scatter of 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. So we could have landed on this line with a really good scatter and been 5 tiles away from scoring from all the way back here. So you were more likely than not to be in scoring range with this throw than not. Because throw teammates are always inaccurate. It always scatters, and it always ends up somewhere between these red lines. So I think having that information, you would have made a more accurate decision. Because the scatter, like, this is not intuitive, this part. So that's why, like, every time you're trying to move up to make your throw more likely, it's because we're looking at the minimum, right? So we want to move this line, this red line, we want to move it up. So if we move 1 space forward, we move the minimum up, because the minimum's all we care about. Because for Gnoblars, they're what? Movement, whatever the hell? Movement 5? They gotta get to the 7 at least. Yeah, no worries, no worries. It seemed like you weren't familiar with what we were talking about, so I wanted to go in depth rather than make an assumption that you were familiar with it. Yeah, and that's like pretty average. Another thing to consider is if you're ever in a position where you can throw a player without the ball and then hand off to them after, that's also pretty better because if the toss fails, you don't lose your turn. Yeah, and throw teammate is like a pass. You don't want to have basing players. You only turn over a failed throw if your player was holding the ball. If you throw a player that was not holding the ball and they fail to land, it is not a turnover. It's only if you're holding the ball. Yeah, that part's not very clear either. That being said, normally you're doing passes on like turn 7 or 8 where if the pass fails, you don't score anyways. But sometimes you can cover fail states by doing the handoff and the third teammate in opposite order if you're within range for that. No, that is a fair assumption. That's I would say a lot of people get that assumption as well. I know I did. I definitely had that assumption. It's also fun to do the dreaded Gnoblar cage dive, where you throw a Gnoblar at a cage. That's always fun. It's a free blitz that can hurt your own player. Well, Glove, it really depends what you're looking at. I like to think of it as a what 3x3 do I want my player to hit? In which case you just aim directly. Because if you hit one of the cage corners, you're probably going to get the blitz off anyways. But to cover what Glava's talking about, real quick, there's a very weird intricacy that goes on here, right? So if you throw, you have like a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you're aiming at something like this in your throw teammate, right? Where is the ball most likely to go? Or where is the Gnoblar most likely to go? You would think, oh, the middle. No. Why would you think that? You fool. You've been bamboozled. This has like a maybe, I think it's like, let's just say a 4% chance of the Nobbler landing there. And then like every square around it has like a 5. It's something like that. It's like a 1% difference. But then it's like a 3. Is it actually 4%? That'd be really funny. It's like a 3 and then like a 2. It's like, this is really oversimplifying it. But like, it's like 4, 5, 3, 2 or something like that. But if you want the best odds of where something will land in your little throw teammate, it goes like tile away from the center, center, next ring, next ring. Is kind of what I think the odds are. Because that's how like the scatter dice work. I know when somebody was telling me about it while I was playing Ogres, I was like, that doesn't sound right. But if you don't remember that and just like throw dead center because that's like easier and it usually puts your thing next to where you want it, that's also fine. Oh, so I was dead on. Okay. I honestly think that's the most unintuitive dice part. And here, I don't have much commentary. Like, hit elves. If you're hitting elves, you're doing things right. Again, try to get your 3 dies in. Pickup was fine. If you can hand off to an ogre, fantastic. Like, if Drew the face pounder can get the ball and walk it in, you know, that's a level. Or if you use Drew to blitz things and get a level, that's also good. So, like, going through being like, okay, this ogre needs to get 2 SPP to be in MVP range. This ogre needs 1 blitz Kaz to get a level. That's the sort of thing you're at in this game. This is probably fine. Oh, no. That's sad. And you were trying to get the SPP. It didn't work out. That's fine. This, ogres, this is like expected. You're playing ogres. This isn't bad luck. This is just ogres. Yeah. But honestly, like, I would still take the star, because star actually gives you more opportunities to get Kaz and touchdowns than not taking the star. So I think even if the star steals MVP, they open you up to more SPP in a game, because they're not a Nobbler. And just like in general, I think stars open you up to a better chance of winning in development than if you didn't have the star. Because like, what's easier to abuse, a 10v11 or an 11v11 or a 10v11? You know, it's just like one of those, like, if a star player has like dirty player or mighty blow and they get a removal, or they give you the ball, give you touchdown SPP. I don't know. No, yeah, Bertha's like, Glava is giving you very edge case, very minor optimization. Like, Bertha's a solid option for ogres. Honestly, though, if you are inducing stars as ogres, you probably almost always want Brick and Grotti. Because Brick and Grotti costs like 230 together, but you get 2 star players. Yeah, but like they hit a couple players, and then there's less to defend the rest. It's kind of how I view it. Don't think you could afford Brick? Well, yeah, but Brick and Grotti are like, you get to win, get your money if you win, and reroll your winnings and get more money. Money. Because I honestly don't think you should consider MVP in your SPP development games. Yes, Everoff. If you win a game, your winning result, your die roll at the end of the game, if you've won the game, you're allowed to re-roll that if you don't like the result. So if you roll a 1 or a 2, you can re-roll it into something potentially higher. If you roll a 6 and press the re-roll button, you can lose money. Tie games, you don't get the option to re-roll it, and games you lose, you do not get the option to re-roll it. But also, you've got double fame, so you're already getting a little extra cash from this game, so you feel fine. You got your extra cash already. That a +2 fame is really good. Yeah, that's if you win and you get a low result on the roll, hit it gets some more money. Well, you see, Waffle, that's an issue that only you have ever encountered. You're the only person that's ever failed to work for. Nobody else shares this experience. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, that often happens at zero fan factor games or like low fan factor games. Like one person will get double fame. Aww. This is probably fine. Like, you're gonna get hit, but, like, maybe you don't lose the ball too badly. You're doing fine at getting your hits in. Again, I'm gonna repeat it one last time, and then I'll leave it. Try to get your 3 dies in. It's very good. Good job, you baited them. Upwards, good. Hey, is that me? No, it's just a regular cucumber nose. That's not me. It's just a regular cucumber. Yeah, and that's kind of the nice thing here. Like your opponent keeps scoring, you still get line of scrimmage hits. You're this is an SPP game. Go with the flow. Like I would not stress about most of your games on ogres. If you are getting stressed about your ogre games, maybe take a break from them, or get another league with a more quote unquote meta team. The new cucumber nose will be named Russell. I love it. I love it. But yeah, I definitely think getting an array of teams in different leagues or playing some spin games with a different team is very cathartic. Because, like, for example, I love my vampires. If they were the only team I played, I would probably go crazy and do something silly like become an admin or something like that. Like, oh, can you imagine? The horror. Then this is good for the elves. I'm going for SPP. Yeah, exactly, Waffle. Like, I love elves as well. I got a pro elf team. They're so fun. But dear God, if I had to play AV7 all the time, I would go insane. Burnt toast cumber nose. Oh, that's awesome. There you go. Get another elf out of there. And here, Glava, I would argue, that was SPP you weren't going to get anyways. That casualty, you weren't going to get that anyways. Bonehead Blitz is hurt. Honestly, like, just Ogre's hurt. It is pain. I will say, if you want more ogre-specific advice, your best bet is going to the Goblin Town Discord. It's in the racial Discord servers, and they have a chat for ogre players, and they will be able to give you much more specific advice if you really enjoy ogres. If you just want more general Blood Bowl advice, we can give that here. Again, this game doesn't have much to say about it. It's kind of a rough one. Perfect defense, since whatever. Even closer than that is probably Lizards. I would say Lizards is closer to the Ogre Fantasy than Orcs are. Khemri's also a good option if you want a similar thing with the dichotomy of large strength and less. Lizards are a little less beginner friendly, but I don't think they're that much beginner unfriendly than like Orcs are. And also, like, they're a little more beginner friendly than ogres. So let's be but again, if you enjoy ogres, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Yeah, good. And good. Boom. SPP. Getting a lot of SPP. Look at that. That's it right there. This is fine. You're happy. The elves are happy. I feel like lizards teach you general screening and stuff. Necro pretty interesting. Necro are an interesting team. I don't think I agree with you, Glove. I think lizards do a lot of things that are transferable to other teams. It's just like the more fundamentals, less like team specific stuff. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you had a good experience. Honestly, whenever you get a chance to play and chat with your opponent, it's usually a pretty good time. It really takes a lot of the stress out of the game when that happens. Especially like as a newer player, if you ask a veteran to play with you in voice, like I know I'm usually way more into the game that way myself. Like hell yeah. Yeah, this is just Ogre Game TM. This, like, I don't think there were really any crazy dice. I don't think there was really much more you could do either. So I hope it's cathartic to hear that. And I think your strategy of punch things and get SPP was going fine. Yeah, exactly. But with that, we're gonna leave this one. And we had Midnight Louie's game to look at, and then Ishova. I'm gonna see if we have some time for yours. We might at least look at your first half. See where we go from there. I believe it is this one. Midnight Louie, first time submitter. Don't be nervous, we are all nice and gentle here. Except for Glava, they're a bit of a menace. Yeah, I can see, I can agree with Glava. That is a genuine strategy. That is 100% A-okay. Less so because it wins you the game, more so because that game should have been for SPP from the get-go. But that's like a harder one to... Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Do we want to address the elephant in the room now? Or do we want to ignore it? AV Plus is usually not a good pick on any player in Blood Bowl. It is... Now, I have seen somebody take it on like a Yeti and like CCL, but that dude was kind of weird. He was kind of a dork. No, it's not. Because the problem with AV Plus is that it is more expensive than a skill, and you could just get a different skill that protects you better. So in this case, you could get Stand Firm instead of the AV Plus. A lot of players are allowed to just get Block instead. But AV it's like expensive, and it only works if you're getting punched. And you would rather just prevent getting knocked down than taking it. Than taking the AV to prevent like the result after. It's sort of like you don't really take Thick Skull on players because Thick Skull is like it doesn't help you do anything. It only prevents worse things from something you're already not wanting to happen. Like, instead, you could take guard on extra players. You could take stand firm. You could take dodge. But, again, I'm just memeing you. It's not really that serious of an offense. But if you had the option between armor value and a double, like, you would take the double so you could take the block, because block is the best skill in the game, which hopefully you're starting to realize as most of these lizards have block. So that's very good to see. I do like this development so far, though. Lots of block. We have all 6 sources. Generally, I put my Kroxigor on the line because it's harder to hit, but that's fine. That sounds about right, yeah. Like, because let's look at the difference here. Let's think about the difference between certain skills. Block. What does block do? It helps you on offense and defense. You knock more things down and don't get knocked down. That is a great skill. What does AV do? Well, it doesn't help you knock things down. It doesn't prevent you from getting knocked down. But when you do get knocked down, it does mean you break less. Unless your opponent has claw, and then it does nothing. Let's think about sidestep. Sidestep allows you to do chain push shenanigans. Sidestep allows you to keep your player safe. And it does a lot of stuff. Sidestep's really good. It allows you to go for risky surfs, or what would otherwise be risky surfs. Stand firm keeps your positioning and prevents you from getting knocked out of your guard. Guard just generally is like second best skill in the game. That's unfortunate. Yeah, what Waffle is saying. Like, stand firm means that your opponent has to get a knockdown rather than a push. It removes 2 successes off of a dice. Yes, exactly. Guard is the second best skill. Block is the first best skill in the game. Every player that cannot get block naturally gets it on a double, almost without exception. Unless you have some other reason to not get block. Third would be dodge. No. Third would probably be mighty blow. But then, like, third best is kind of like more nebulous because it really depends on the player's job. Third might actually be wrestle, debatably, because it deals with block. You think second is split between mighty blow, guard, and dodge? I don't even think dodge is in the running for second. I think like second is between mighty blow, guard, and wrestle, but only because of how good block is. But that's like kind of like a meaningless tier list at that point. Like it's like block and guard are just up there is the main philosophy. And also, I've not been paying attention because we've been talking about block and dodge. Dodge would be higher if it weren't for the fact that tackle exists. Because tackle completely negates it, rather than only being a partial negation. Because wrestle negates block, quote unquote, but you still have to go on the ground. Tackle is just like a free dodge, doesn't do anything. If tackle didn't exist, dodge would be tied for best skill in the game. Okay, so I don't hate this blitz, depending on what you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to level your source, this blitz is fine. But if you're just trying to take a hit, you're trying to use the mighty blow. Never mind, you're trying to use the mighty blow. But in order to make this a little safer, you want to get 2 assists here, because your source is strength 5. This is strength 3. Let me draw that in another color. In order to make a 3-die block, rather than a 2-die block, you need 2 times your opponent's strength. So 2x plus 1. In this case, opponent's strength 3. You need 7 strength. So you need 2 assists. Assist number 1. Assist number 2. 7 strength. You get 3 die. Yeah. In general, unless you're trying to maximize the Mighty Blow and you understand the risk associated with that, your big guy shouldn't be doing the blitzing as much as possible. That being said, like, if this is a 3 die, I have no issues with it. So far, this is okay. This is fine. Your opponent doesn't have just an easy way through, but they can just surf your skink here, is what it's looking like. But that really exposes our wolf if they do that, so I wouldn't be concerned about that. Pretend I didn't say anything. And also, we want to get our guard caught up in some things, get some punches off of it. It's a bit of an interesting move. But the Kroxigor is nice and fast. It can come back and join this little party here. I may be a surf fiend, but it was just a surf out of skink. I do enjoy me a good surf, though. It fills me with joy. Another thing, I'm not sure... do keep in mind, I'm not sure your skill level, so if something comes off a little bit like, that's just a fundamental of the game, I already know that, let me know. But I try not to make too many assumptions about skill level when I'm not familiar with your play. In general, you want to be reducing the amount of base contact you have at the end of the turn. If none of your players are based on the opponents, they get to take a blitz hit, and that's it. If you base things, though, they get to get their blitz, plus potentially everything else. And here, you got punished by the blitz with your Kroxigor. So there was nothing about this hit that couldn't have been done with a source. Because it's just, unless you're really trying to maximize the Mighty Blow, but I don't think this is the time for maximizing Mighty Blow, because you have a lot of stuff to move. So, right here, we have some unactivated players. We want to get those moved before we take our blitz, because we want to take actions that don't involve dice first. So, our movements, just in general. Then we want to take our safe actions, our 2-die hits with block, maybe 1 in 36 dodges with dodge, but we don't have any of that this game. You were thinking you overcommitted to the left? No, you were still fine. You were still fine. So, let's math this out, right? Let's take a quick peek at this. We can cover for our faults without. 2-die with block is probably better. But 3D is better than 2D with the Kroxigor. So here, we've still got the right side covered. We got these players back. I like to think of it with just put lines between your players, and that's kind of like where you negate. Very rudimentary way of thinking about it. But if you draw a line in between your players and one space out, this is the area you control more or less. Like, in order to get through here, your opponent's going to have to blitz through this. Now, we can make that better. So if we bring the source, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, get to here, take this punch, come over here, and now we have something like this. One second, my pen tool is, I messed it up. But we can get something like this, and this one will be here, and then we have a better little wall here. About as noob as it gets. Okay. But we still have plenty of time to get over on this side, is basically what I'm trying to show you. Because even as a fallback, whoopsie, we moved my screen a little bit. These skinks are covering. We can just walk over here. We don't have to blitz yet. So I like to tell people that it goes in a certain order, right? First, you got your safe actions. Save actions. I do not feel like I'm writing very well, but nature of pen tool. So your save actions, and then your essential actions. Yeah, mandatory. That's a little easier to spell. Fuck. I feel the pressure's on. I can't spell. Mandatory with an M. You know what? You know what? Fucking exclamation points. There we go. There we go. And then, like, finally, we go for greed. So your save action is going to be anything that doesn't take dice. Your 1 in 36 blocks with block. Your 3 dies with block. That sort of thing. Your necessary actions are going to be your making the ball safe. So blitzing off tackle pieces, doing things that help you form a cage, form a screen, anything like that. Or knocking the ball down if you're on defense, preventing the ball from scoring, that sort of thing. And then finally, you're going to do your greed. And greed is just everything else. So that would be taking a 1D to free a player up. That would be taking dodges that are not necessary to the turn, but you want to take. Blitzing with a Kroxigor, that sort of thing. Yeah, and in this situation, the Kroxigor definitely needed to move, but the Kroxigor did not need to blitz. You could have moved the Kroxigor over here and been just happy. Like, you didn't need to blitz with the Kroxigor, is the main thing here. Because also, your Kroxigor's got Loner, so rerolls don't even work half the time on your Kroxigor. The only reason you should be blitzing with your Kroxigor is if you really want to get the Mighty Blow hit. Also, you walked in a way... No, wait, there was a zombie here. I didn't see the zombie here. Ignore me. But yeah, right here, I'm expecting the Necro player. Ooh, it's Goliath. I just now recognize that. Goliath's a decent player. They've gotten a lot better. But I expect Goliath to go after the Skink, either surf it or knock it down. And it's also important to note Goliath does have a wizard. Goliath also is just fun. What are we doing here? So let's take a quick pause. What is your goal right here? Well, the goal is to prevent the ball from being able to score, try to get pressure over here. So whatever we do needs to try and do that. So before taking this hit, I'd probably be moving these Skinks over just to cover the sideline. That's a little iffy just because that brings you way far away from the ball with the Skink. And another important thing, this is just giving your opponent way too many options. They can just kind of like run over here to the left side, ignore your Skinks, and they're safe. So I think I would have pulled these Skinks up to 1 tile away, leave a 1 tile gap. And it's right here, Goliath's just going to go for another hit. Not a surf, though, because sidestep. Tackle wolves. Yeah, that's a good spot for the Necro. Now, the Necro are just going to stall. So, what the Necro's goal is, they want to score as late into the drive as possible to give you very little chance of counter scoring. So right here, you're just gonna go for a one die hit probably. Is there a one die hit? Not a great one. Take some dice. So how you prevent this from just going until turn 8? You need to bring pressure back. That's a send off. Oh, Goliath had a bribe. Okay. Yeah. So to prevent this from just being a stall, we need to get pressure. So step 1, let's bring this player back here. Come threaten the ball. Then after that, you're probably just like, move the sidestep like here. Blitz on red dice? It's not very good, but that's kind of like where you're at. You take your other actions as well. Your 2 dice will block, your stand-ups. But this is kind of a brutal spot to be in. That's fine, that's good. I like that. That's getting your Kroxigor closer to bringing in pressure. That's very good, I like that. Yes, but I'm kind of more concerned with if we move all the skinks into base contact and they all get knocked down, there is no more pressure. The no recovery doesn't matter as much. You're trying to force your opponent to score. It's not necessarily about getting the ball, because if the opponent scores early, that just benefits you, even if you can't do anything about it. Yeah, and with all the sources tied up, it's really rough. 2 removals, like, this is, like, pretty unmanageable as a Lizard team. Being down 2 sources is hard to deal with, and I don't think you particularly did anything to cause that. One was just a really good opportunistic foul, and the other one was just like random Kaz. So you're at the point where you can almost say it's untenable. Yeah, it was a low LOS hit. That's correct. That's correct. Literally can't do anything about that. That being said, you're not out of the game. You still got plenty of opportunity. But it's in order to win, I would probably be thinking you're going to be forced into either a quick score with either 2 turns, 3 turns, maybe even a 1 turn. 1 turns without any decent skinks, though, is kind of rough. Turns into the Hindenburg. Yeah, this, like, a tie doesn't seem unfeasible. Tie seems relatively easy in theory. Winning definitely involves like a fast score after forcing the score into other stuff. The wheels absolutely fall off in the second half. Yeah, that's why I said in theory, because when the future actually gets there, that's when it gets rough. Yeah, tie is really rough against the Wizard and being down 4 players already. That's what I said. Ouch. Ouch. Yeah, I think the wheels are already gone. The only thing you can really do here is you'd be blitzing this white and going in base of the goal and hope that works. Yeah, and the VOD will be up too. I'm gonna keep commentating on it. But I think this might this might be as much useful information as there is on this one. Yeah, here I would have blitzed the white, not followed, and then gone and marked the ghoul. That's what I would have done. That's how I'd have done it. Also, why am I saying that to you, Everhouse? I thought you were Midnight Louie for a second. Yeah. You have a good one. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for sending in a replay. Yeah, this is like very, very unfortunate. Like, this was very unlucky. There's no kill skills in the game except, well, there is Claw. But the Claws haven't done any of the removal. Fouls are just good. Bribes are good. So a good bit of this has been misfortune. And are we going for a fast score? I think we are. I like to see that. Pouring rain. We could potentially score in two. We could potentially score in two. You follow this up to tie up the other zombie. Okay, I would have followed there because you want to tie up this player. But we can potentially score in two, but we needed to blitz this ghoul. Because otherwise we're not going to be able to get in scoring range now. Because it is turn 7. We need someone in scoring range. So whenever you're on turn 7 or 15, you need to think, do I have a scoring threat? Because if you have a scoring threat, even if they're a bad scoring threat, you have a chance of scoring. If no one is in scoring range, you cannot score. And the difference between 0 and any chance is pretty big gulf. Despite what the Disney movies tell you, you cannot do the impossible. You had to be grounded in realism and give up on your dreams. No. None of that really applies, but your scoring threat needs to, like this skink, needs to be up here. Couple tiles into the enemy's line of scrimmage. And if you're like me and counting is hard, the mod roller for Blood Bowl has a nice little numbered pitch, and it's fantastic. I love it. If you don't know how to get the mod roller and you really want the pitch, somebody can help you. I never remember how to do it. Math is hard. Math is also lame. We invented calculators for a reason. Because I can find you a differential equation. I can chart you a graph, but I cannot add 4 plus 4 in my head if I'm thinking too hard. I've done way too much calculus to enjoy math. I did fucking 2.5 years of engineering calculus in college, and that was miserable. It wasn't until, like, engineering calculus that I just did not enjoy math. Okay, I'm liking this so far. Want to hit the guard first, I think. I will say, as soon as like a lot of the formulas added like the third dimension, it was a little more fun in calculus. Like, you know, distance with X, Y, and Z, that was fun. But also, like, my professor was like 80 years old and didn't believe in calculators. So we'd had to do dumb shit like 1,327 divided by like 93, like on paper, and it's just like, ugh, why? And like he often had like older students come back and like talk about their experience in the workplace and that sort of stuff, and they all said, yeah, we didn't use anything from this class, and we always have a calculator. Oh, it's like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's like, why? What was this meant to display again? Um, right now, I think, Louis, I think you tried to do something good, but I think you misunderstood what's happening. So, right here, this looks like a cage, but this is not a cage. So, right now, we have tackle zones around these players, right? Wrong one. We have tackle zones around these players. And when players are one or two tiles apart, they form a screen. So their tackle zones will be side by side. But in this case, we have our players with 3 tiles in between them. So an opposing player can just kind of like walk in here and hit the ball. That being said, Glava does make a good point. There is an accidental good screen here, because over here, there's this tackle zone, and then this tackle zone. So they cover all these tiles kind of accidentally. And I like to visualize that more like this. But we've got a screen here on accident. And we've got a screen here, which is also good. But everywhere else, there's not a screen. But if these opponents were closer, this ball would not be safe. Not a huge deal in this specific scenario, but just be on the lookout. Like 2 tiles in between is your magic number. 1 tile is when you need to be in closer proximity to your teammates for guard reasons or other stuff like that. No, that's not like a resource thing. That's like this like cage you've got wouldn't actually protect the ball if the enemies were a little closer. That's more what I'm trying to point out to you. Oh yeah, that's a good point. These players back here, your opponent's so far away. If you put them in between the opponent and your ball carrier, that actually does a little more work. I often say that caging is forced, screens are desired. Like, you want to develop screens between you and the opposing player, and it's only when the opposing player is able to hit the ball that you're forced to cage. Because caging is very defensive, but it makes you very slow. So lizards are a little different on that as well, though, because lizards like to get a couple tiles into the opposing half and then cage up. That's a little different. Okay, I understand your thought process. Like, he's gonna, oh look, all these sources there's so few of them. No, the skinks are where it's at. Everybody's gonna be targeting your skinks because skinks have stunty, which means they're easier to injure. So a skink is as easy to hurt as a niggled player. I think this is fine. I think we got to dodge off to defend this, though. Probably have to reroll that. Okay, good. Put it like right. I think that's like almost good. That's almost good. So I like this idea. That was a really good idea. But you could have prevented a blitz on the ball instead of standing here. This like prevents the loner from GFI hitting you, I think. Not really. Just move your player to like right here. Move your player to right here, and then you have this blocked off. And then the werewolf can't get through without blitzing your skink, that sort of thing. And the wizard really makes the game much harder as well. The wizard is like hard to play against as a newbie. But this was like the right idea. This was almost where the skink needed to go, just like 1 or 2 tile difference, and it was perfect. But yeah, this was really good. This was really good. It was not perfect, but it was the right idea, which is always a great start. Love to see it. Because also remember, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. You have you have no players. All your sources are gone. This is hard. Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. Because that would have been served. The thing is, I almost think that it was forced. Because if you don't get that skink served, your ball carrier gets sacked like it did. So, like, it sucks, but I think that was kind of the situation you were in. Yeah, you're really picking the worst of two bad decisions. Just because like you're down 3 sources, and that is unbelievably atrocious. Like that is so unfortunate. Because like your sources have just been getting random cast, and like it's not been anything you've done. You've just gotten on like on that front. Because like first action source out, oof, rough. And this isn't bad. This isn't bad. There is a hit on this corner, though. Can just walk into there and hit that. So, ideally, this skink would be 1 to the left, but it isn't that bad. Like, this is probably still fine. Preserving your skinks is a good habit. But it's all the exceptions that really make Blood Bowl tricky, right? Because there's not a general, oh, when do you protect your skinks, when do you don't? It's all exceptions, and it gets the new. Don't try not to get too caught up in the nuance. Like in this game, I think you were doing fine because like you weren't just protecting your skinks, you're protecting the 7 players you have left, or is it 8? Because I think you had a spare skink, right? Right. Just like the English language. Perfect and without fault. Exactly. We love the English language. I wish I could speak it better. I'm only a native speaker. And this is fine, trying to outrun all this garbage. Ghoul's in range to hit you, but I think that's mostly fine. We're kind of in like potato country anyways. Like we kind of like forced to do some wonky stuff. Wolf 2, Wolf is totally in range. I don't think there was actually a way to get super safe. Could have blitzed to base the ghoul. Yeah, that was an option. But I think it's kind of just like you're down so many sources. I think it's just a hard game. Like you needed something to get a little lucky. You needed like a knockdown to fail or something like that. You did not get that. Standing up is good. Taking your blocks is good. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, there's not much silver lining at this point. You were doing the best you can. So I would not sweat. Basically, most of the second half, you didn't have many options. Yeah, if nothing got permed and you got some SPP, doing great. Because this was rough. This was a rough start into a rough game. Yeah, this is definitely just one of those games. Like you play your heart out, try to get a tie, try to get a win. But if you don't manage it, like, you've had some rough days to overcome. One MNG, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, you take those. You take those. Pop the Appo already. Yeah, you take those. Because also, like, 2 fouls, 2 Cavs is pretty brutal. That's very, very fortunate fouling without a dirty player. At the very least, the bribe got used, and then it was a send-off. So, like, it was Kaz, and the fouler was out. Because if the bribe didn't get used, that fouling train could have kept happening. So you could have been down way, way more. It could have been really bad. Because fouling is strong. Lizards aren't really a fouling team, so it might not apply to this team. But remember, fouling is strong. And I don't know how much you can do here. You can try to stop this with some skinks. But at this point, it's probably just a little out of your control. Okay, and while this is running, I'm going to check. Going to download the other game. Yeah, and that's fine. I think I would have even done it. You could have persuaded me that it was right to do that earlier. So that's fine. So I got that game downloaded. After this, we'll close. We'll open the game back up. So I can put the replay in the replay file. And take a peek at our last little game. You're off. Okay, Glava, thanks for coming in. It's fun having you in chat as always. Yeah, I think that's about good. Yeah, that was pretty rough. That was a large part of that was out of your control. So I would not feel too bad about going 0-2 there. Your first half was brutal, but pretty good. Your second half was a little shaky, but you were down 3 positionals and a skink, and you were against a wizard. Like, there was a lot going on there that you didn't have much control of. So I would not sweat that game too much. But okay, I'm going to switch the screen. I'm going to get the game loaded in. So close the window. Yeah, don't sweat it. And, like, the point isn't to pick on you. It's not to roast you. We're just trying to give some advice. Hopefully, you found some things that help that you can, like, mull over, apply in your next games. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good. Game's booting back up. And we will take... Get to see you playing Sleep Deprived. Oh, yeah, that happens. No worries. And as always, everyone in the Discord's super great. You can ask for advice, just kind of snoop. If sending me a game gets you nervous, you can even just watch other people's games that I commentate over. Some I go in more depth, some I don't. But I know Melon and I believe Winnie both asked me if I had VODs, and I just made public a lot of VODs that I had failed to do so. So hopefully, like, there's like that backlog if you want that. But yeah, let's see. Heavy Metal Thunder versus Fey Ray Court. Yeah, everybody's been fantastic. Good. Because I came into the rookie league a couple years ago as well, and I had pretty similar, like, no idea what's going on. Um, I yeah, I legitimately did not play a game of Blood Bowl until I played in the college league. Like that was like my first game of Blood Bowl. That was pretty fun. Okay, and which okay, we are the Dark Elves, right? Right. Right? Yeah, we're Dark Elves. Okay. Watching Ashova. And make sure you put your kicker out of the wide zone. Yep, yep. And honestly, Blood Bowl is one of those like games that you don't really bring your friends into it. Um, Most people find that out the hard way. Like they'll like try to do stuff with some buddies. And some of them may stick around, but for the most part, you had to find people in the hobby to do the hobby with. It's kind of funny like that. 35 years since you last played Blood Bowl? Holy shit. That's a pretty long hiatus. I often forget how old the game is. You were getting all puffed up about stomping on the AI. Okay, that's really funny. I need to. What happened here? What happened? Oh wait, no, wait. We're on offense. We're on offense. Okay. Cheering fans. Think it rained this whole game? That's fine. That's good for you. You're at your four. That's rough. Oof. Wrestle it. Oh, I see what happened. You didn't take the wrestle hit first. That's actually pretty cool. I didn't learn about Blood Bowl until like a couple years ago. Oh, my mic got knocked. I don't know how that happened. That should sound a lot better. You know, I often forget that even though I'm doing like rookie spotlight, most of the people whose games I'm like commenting on are probably older than me. The era of age authority. I think that's always kind of the case though, because I don't think that for a lot of things it's not the age that really tells you if what. Ugh. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, hopefully you understand the point. But no, it's not really the age that determines how good people are at things, and that's like something that some people don't come to terms with, like when they start seeing like professionals in certain fields being able to do things that is like, oh, their dad did or something like that. I think it's more accepted. I think it's more outliers that make it apparent that like it's more outliers when it's not. And right now, this is kind of awkward, but this was like Dub Skull into unfortunate line of scrimmage, so I don't think there was much we could have done to prevent this. This this was the second turn. That's even funnier. We really need to get these out of contact with the Croc score. We're in Chain Push City, getting really stuck. You could be playing the Monday Night Football theme. Ugh. Now, here's the real question. Are your kids older than me? How old are they? Oh. Because that's another one I encounter a lot is people's kids are older than me. No. You first. You first. How old are your kids? Because I am 26. Lots of shenanigans going on. Okay, yeah. Okay, one of them is. Whew. Safe. Yeah, this is... Yeah, I agree. Moving back is good. The ball landing where it is in the rain, having to dodge up. This is all shenanigans. At least there's not much tackle. That's unfortunate. And we're already out of rerolls. That's the real shenanigans. I think maybe use our dodge more to get free, but it's like, I don't know. It's like a hard decision. Like this whole game is just shenanigans so far. Okay, and then we've got diving tackle. And then this comes and blitzes. Because this was knocked out of the way. So we're expecting this to be a knockdown. Or a push onto diving tackle. And we've not been given a chance to hit with Mighty Blow on a skink. Which, this piece's whole job is to hit skinks this game. We've not been given that opportunity. The Witch Elves haven't gotten a chance to surf. So that's rough as well. Oh, God. This is just a brutal start. I don't know how you get out of this situation right now. Except for maybe get a place for the ball to go, hand off, run away with the ball, keep the Witch Elf stuck on the dirty, not the dirty player, the sidestep, diving tackle. Yeah, this is like, man, this has been a real validation stream. We had a talk the other day, like, most games aren't dicing, there's something you can do, which is true, but that doesn't make what you can do easy. So let's be very clear. The thing that you can do is not easy in this game. Those are some dice and they worked. No other commentary. If the dice worked, it needs no commentary, right? Oh, are we fouling? I don't like that foul. That was a 9+ foul. Do we have a bribe? We do not have a bribe. We do not have dirty player. 4-3 with dodge. Yeah, I think it was actually a good play. Maybe change the order of it, because when did that happen? What did we have left in the turn? Dodge here into a position right here. Move this up here, then dodge that. So I think I would have waited to dodge it until just a little bit later. But other than that, I think it was fine. And I would definitely use your not your diving tackle, use your dodges before, like, this, just dodge off. Just dodge off. This is a 1 in 36 dodge, but it's like a 50-50 turnover block, something like that. It was actually like a 3+. You're taking a 3+ over a 2+ with a reroll. The 2+ with a reroll is just much more safe. And here's where we get punished for not blocking up this route with the wrestle piece. Gets hit on the exposed ball. And the lizards scoop up the ball and do lizard things of being obnoxious and stealing the ball. This is going to be pretty hard to come back from. No rerolls. Skink's got control of the ball. Actually, I think we could have done the same thing, but a little less drastic measures. Because I think, Ishova, I think you are undervaluing how easy your dodges are. Because right here, we've got this tackle blitzer, right? I think we can just reach with either no GFIs or easy GFIs here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a double GFI with 2 dodges, but the 2 dodges are with a reroll. And also, actually, we don't need to take 2 GFIs, do we? Boom, boom. No, it's still 2 GFIs, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it's still 2 GFIs. That's rough. I feel like this set of dodges was a little lucky. Because this is a 3+, 3+, 2+ without the dodge skill. And without rerolls. GFI still failed, so that likely would have happened anyways. But it was still a little sad. I don't even think there was a way to avoid being so down on rerolls either. Because I think the rerolls are what prevented you from being even worse off. Okay, I think we have a 2-die on the ball. Let me know if you can see it. I'm proud of you. Oh. Yeah, that was a very convenient 1 and 9. That's a good hit. Okay, and you're getting into scoring range, okay? I think I would have rather put somebody else in scoring range. Because, like, this is a good person. You want them to get SPP. They've got block. I don't hate that. That's fine. Go mark the skink. Go mark the ball. I know it's raining, but you can mark the ball. Don't scatter the ball. No. That's okay. That's fine. That's safe. No, the ball. Now it's not safe. No, wait, maybe it is safe. I don't know at this point. Is that better than there? I don't know. Is that better than there? I don't know. Okay. A lot of dub skulls all around. Holy cow. I don't know what advice to give. This is just a lot of interesting dice are being rolled. Um, this is the type of game that forces us, that doesn't allow us to have an AI learn how to play Blood Bowl. Like, how do you account for this board state? It was your second game against this lizard team. That's fair. And then a 1 in 36, and ooh, wasn't even wrong. It was just punished. Oh wait, no, it wasn't a 1 in 36. That was a diving tackle piece. So you got a little unlucky in that they didn't have to use the diving tackle, but like you had a dodge, and like they didn't have to use diving tackle. And now you need to decide: are you going for the score, or are you stopping the skink from being a scoring threat? Which I'm not sure. Are those incompatible goals? Okay. Um. Ooh. Are you stopping the score, or are you going for the ball? Okay, good hit. Not in scoring range. Not in scoring range. Not in scoring range. Yeah, you did have a wrestle piece there. That was GFIs though. That was GFIs, so I think it's a tough call there. I think not taking the GFIs is probably better. Because if the ball goes down, it's likely not a score. Because no rerolls in the rain. It was just an unlucky catch. So I think that was actually fine. It also gave you an opportunity to pick up the ball, pass it, hand off to the blitzer, win the game. Not win the game, but like score, and be setting up for winning the game. Yeah, good job. You did it. You successfully stopped the score on your own offense. It's not the position you want to be, but 0-0 is better than 0-1. I think, given the dice you were given, that was the best possible outcome you could have asked for. I think on the line of scrimmage after the dub skull, you should have hit with the wrestle piece first. But beyond that, I don't know much more what you could have done. Wait, you score in the second half? Actually, I find that more believable than anything else. You have one player out versus two skinks out and a Saurus, so you're actually in a really good spot at the start of this half. Ball goes out. Unlucky scatter. Wrestle is a good skill, keeps your players safe. And just a minor note, you see how the lizard player has put in this skink in front of their ball carrier? Like, not literally in front of, but like on a line in front of. They're putting more players in between the ball carrier and the opposing team. And that's just a nice little habit that you do when you have no one behind you. Yeah, I like to go like one of the corners where it's like oftentimes like it depends on how badly I needed to not go out. The more I needed to not go out, I'll bring it in an extra square. Okay. Mighty Blow hit. You could have argued that you're supposed to hit this, but that could have gotten you caught up. So I think this was right. That was a good hit. I will say you probably want to be avoiding base contact unless you're really trying to tie up the Asaurus. Because this is how you lose players. Just basing a little too much. Because this is just like a free hit with a follow-up hit. So this could just be a casualty for not much gain. No follow-up, though, because you had the Mighty Blow there. I would definitely hit the Skink. There's only 2 Skinks left in the game. Hitting the Skinks is a great win condition against lizards. And at this point, I'm not sure how much Galcar can stop you. And you are hitting not the Skink. Are you going to base the ball? Yes, basing ball. Taking a 1 die with block, that's fine. That's 2+. The same as taking a dodge off with a reroll. Okay, zoning a little bit. This is fine. Are we getting the Witch Elf up here? No, we're forming a tiny column. That is okay. Yeah, this is mostly fine. I don't see much problem with this. I still think hitting the Skink was a better play. Just because Mighty Blow Tackle was really good. Yeah, I've not seen anything egregious. I've seen something that's outside of my preference, but I've not seen anything that's like, oh yeah, that's a mistake. Because something to keep in mind with my analysis is that I'm giving you my off-the-cuff thoughts a lot of times. So there could be other things that you like. For example, you could have looked at, oh, if I hit this sidestep diving tackle, it might still be on me, and then I have my Mighty Blow tackle piece clogged up in a worst case scenario. You could have ruled out lines of play for whatever reason that I've just not thought of because I don't have to consider that. Because I'm watching what did happen rather than making up what could happen. So that's something to remember whenever somebody's reviewing your game, is if they ask a question about why you did something, it's probably because they just haven't seen the why nots. If that makes sense. It's easier to give hindsight than to come up with all the lines of play that were possible. Because in the game, you have like 3-4 minutes in some leagues to determine all the possible things you need to play around, and the things you could do, the things you're not going to do, the things you want to do. Like, it's a lot to consider. So what may seem like a very simple play when a more experienced coach points it out could be really hard to see for a rookie, especially when a lot of the little things you rule in and out are based off of experience and seeing and knowing and knowledge and yada, 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 yada. So it's, keep in mind, even if like I say something, it's like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense now that you pointed it out, it's probably still going to be harder in-game until other things become more second nature. I'm wondering, is this just going to go in the cage? I think this is going in the cage. That is Blodge. Goes in the cage. Follow, no follow, doesn't matter. And, what? What? I think you still surf the Saurus. Because surfs are good, guaranteed removal, and then you can deal with the rest of this. Like, get in position to deal with this a little bit, but I probably would have surfed the Saurus. But that's honestly not bad either. Because that's what, 4+ with a reroll? That's a 75% dodge in onto 2 dice. I don't hate it. That being said, I probably would get this guy tied up again. Or put your diving tackle, not the diving tackle, the sidestep on the diving tackle. Yeah, this is good. My preference would have been the surf, but going for the dive is fine. And it worked, so that's another boon. You saw the 75 dive in onto 2 dice. You took it. It worked. Very good. I just like surfs. I would have been like, if I get the surf, then I can consolidate my players and then deal with the clump of meat and that sort of thing. No, your play was fine. Your play was fine. I'm more of a banger, so like I would be playing more into the surf is like a guaranteed KO, at least, and into the rest of these lizards were in a clump, and I would have dealt with them after. But your play was absolutely fine. Because I don't know how many more opportunities you would have gotten to get a 75% dodge into 2 dice. So your play was probably just objectively better, and I was overly focused on the surf there. But that's kind of like the nuance that I'm talking about. Like I missed some nuance because I was focused on like, ooh, this guy almost got surfed. And I wasn't sitting there thinking about it for 4 minutes. You got the ball. I think there we were supposed to move some things first. Like before going for that pickup, we have 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, potentially 4 or 5 players we wanted to move before going for that pickup. Like at least the Witch Elf should have been moved. At least the Witch Elf, maybe this lineman. This lineman probably. Like there was some movement you should have been taking first. But then you go for the pickup. Like just roll no dice for the movements. And then figure out what happens with the ball. Then figure out what your other players would have been doing. Blodge is good. Blodge is good. I think the right play for the Lizards here was to hit the Fitz Jr. blitzer. That way the Kroxigor can come on the ball. I think that was a massive mistake. Because now this player is just gone. Yeah, because you just wanted 36 dodge off and then get your other players defending. Maybe even foul the diving tackle. Like, I would consider fouling the diving tackle. But it's like, it's not even in range. Like, you've got this score pretty much locked in. So, I don't know. This is a concern, so that's a good spot. Tackle hit that instead of doing what I'm talking about. Ooh, are we hitting in front of you? We were. Got DC'd? Did you miss anything good? Commentary wise, no. Gameplay wise, yeah. Some good, pretty good stuff. Ishova's been doing mostly clean play. It's pretty good. And the Lizards actually been making a couple of missteps, but nothing atrocious. This has just been a decent game between Lizards and Delph so far. Like I would say, this game hasn't really had many big missteps. It may have had some spots that could have been a little cleaner on either side, but nothing atrocious, nothing bad. Yeah, this score should just be locked in. That doesn't surprise me. There's usually a pretty big play differential between teams, and Lizards are hard for a lot of rookies to deal with. And I don't think that the Lizards have been bad at all. I think they need a little brushing up. But especially like both of you are college players. This is a great college match. Cause this also like this game started funky. This whole game started funky. Like even for an experienced coach, it would have been funky. And here if I were the Lizards, I'd be setting up for one turn. Yeah, yeah. And then by the end of minors, a lot of the coaches are really brushed up because most of the people that stick through minors are already more committed to the game than the college coaches that were trying it out. Um, Minors coaches really start brushing up on their fundamentals and their gameplay, so there should be a good amount of competition towards the end of minors. Also, where are you kicking your ball? Like, are you aiming the center right over here? Because generally, I want to aim my X to where it doesn't scatter out. So here, 1, 2, 3, I'd be aiming like right here. You put it 3 squares in and just got unlucky? Damn. Okay. Okay. No, this makes sense to me because it's scattering. It's literally just a max scatter. Okay. Never mind. I understand it now. You've just gotten unlucky. You've just gotten unlucky. I was just double checking. I would say normally I kick it 3,000. If I really need to not scatter it out, like if it's game losing if it scatters out, and fine if it doesn't, I just go a fourth one in. Or at least like a fourth one in from one of the sides. So instead of being like 3 in diagonally, like I either pick to go left one or up one. So there's only like one variable of misfortune rather than two. If that makes sense. So like 3 and then choose one to eliminate one side that it can go out on. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, good win. Good win. And that should about do us then. Really enjoyed casting today. I'm going to see if there's another streamer on at the moment. I think, is Trunk still streaming? I wonder if Trunk is still streaming. Trunk is still streaming. We'll raid Trunk. Otherwise, it's going to be Rick Reckless again today. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Trunk is still streaming. Trunk is still streaming. Let's raid Trunk. Trunk the Shiny playing Jin's new game, Mountain Core. I've been wanting to take a peek at that. It looks like a RimWorld-esque. What is it? The other one with the dwarves. Dwarf Fortress-esque game, and it seems to have decent reviews. Let's go peek at that. Yes, Dwarf Fortress indeed. Thank you all for tuning in. I had a great time. Hopefully you all learned a thing or two. And you all have a good one.